Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so there's this thing, right? This quest lots of us seem to be on.
Hmm.
Figuring out money, actually building some wealth, and, finding that financial freedom.
It's a big one.
It is.
Mm.
And today, we're really going to unpack a review of a book that's touched millions, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You shared this review, and it seems like this book just fundamentally shifts how people think.
It really does. It's had a massive impact, especially in that personal finance kind of self-help space.
So our mission here is to dig into that, pull out the big ideas, figure out why it works so well, but also maybe look at where it has some limitations.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't just a summary. Think of it like a guide to understanding why this book hits home and what core ideas it gives you about money, wealth, and, well, work itself.
Absolutely. And, its impact is undeniable. It really sits in that personal finance genre, but it reads differently.
How so?
Well, what's fascinating and what everyone remembers is the central idea, right? The contrast between lessons from two dads.
Right, the rich dad and the poor dad.
Exactly. His poor dad, that's his actual father. Highly educated, believes strongly in school, job security, working hard for your money, the traditional path.
Okay, the path many of us are taught.
And then there's Rich Dad. His best friend's father, more of a businessman and entrepreneur, and he taught Kiyosaki totally different lessons about financial literacy, investing, how to make money actually work for you.
And that contrast is immediate.
It's immediate, and it sets up this core tension right away. The traditional employee mindset versus like an entrepreneurial mindset focused on building wealth through assets. That hook is powerful. It gets you thinking from page one.
Yeah, that setup with the two dads, it's incredibly effective, isn't it? You instantly start comparing it to your own life, what you learned.
Exactly.
Kiyosaki basically says that difference in thinking is, well, everything. So here's where it gets really interesting. What's that first big lesson he drills down on? The one that makes people stop and think.
The really foundational one, the one that often causes a big pause for readers, is the idea that the rich don't work for money.
Okay, explain that, because obviously people work.
Right. But he's challenging the idea of trading time directly for money as the primary path. Instead, the rich, in his framework, focus their energy on building or buying assets, things that generate income passively.
So money coming in without punching a clock for it, essentially.
Precisely. So their wealth isn't just tied to the hours they physically work. It's a huge shift from the standard job model, Go to school, get a good job, get a paycheck.
A model many of us just accept.
Yeah, and it really challenges that assumption that a good job and a high salary are the end goals. Kiyosaki was pretty early in pointing out that a job often limits your leverage. You're capped by time. Assets, though, can scale in a way your time can't.
That distinction feels even more relevant now, doesn't it? With gig work, automation.
Absolutely. It forces you to ask a tough question. Am I just working for money, or am I building things where money starts working for me?
Okay, that's a powerful first principle. It's not just about earning more. It's changing where the income comes from. So if they're not just working for money in the traditional sense, how do they make it, according to Kiyosaki?
It comes down to knowing the rules of the game, right? Financial literacy.
Exactly. That's the second huge point. Financial literacy matters.
Yeah.
Immensely.
More than just a big paycheck.
Way more, in his view. He argues that understanding money, how investments work, the difference between an asset and a liability cash flow, that knowledge is far more valuable than just a high salary.
Because you could earn a lot and still be broke, essentially.
Precisely. He talks about the rat race. High income often just means higher spending. If you don't have the financial intelligence to manage it and make it grow, you just upgrade your cage. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, like you said, knowing the rules, this lesson highlights a massive gap. Financial education often isn't taught in schools.
Nope, definitely wasn't in mine. Right, so many people are left kind of unprepared to manage money effectively, let alone build wealth. It makes you really think about what kind of knowledge actually empowers you financially.
Okay, so understanding the game is critical. But it sounds like it's more than just book smarts. There's a whole mindset shift involved, too.
Oh, absolutely central. That's the third key lesson, the mindset shift.
Towards what?
Towards an entrepreneurial attitude. It's about embracing calculated risks, actively looking for opportunities, thinking like an investor, like a business owner, rather than just an employee waiting for instructions or a paycheck.
So being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. Shifting from waiting for things to happen to you to making things happen, identifying problems and seeing them as potential opportunities. He argues this isn't just for starting a business, it's a way to approach life's challenges too.
Like seeing a problem at work, not just as something to complain about, but maybe something to solve and, I don't know, create value from.
Precisely. We've all been in that complaint mode, right? This book sort of nudges you to ask, okay, how could this be an opportunity? It's a mental reframing.
That mental switch is huge.
Yeah.
But, okay, to actually do something with that mindset, you need practical tools. And this leads to what might be the most famous concept from the book, assets versus liabilities.
Yes. This is where it gets really practical and, honestly, quite simple but powerful.
How does he define them? Because it's a bit different, isn't it?
It is, especially from a strict accounting sense. For Kiyosaki, it's all about cash flow. Assets are simply things that put money into your pocket, period. Like investments that pay dividends, maybe stocks or bonds, a business you own that's profitable, real estate that generates rental income month after month, money flowing in.
Okay, makes sense. And liabilities.
Liabilities, then, are things that take money out of your pocket consistently.
Examples.
Think about a car loan payment. That takes money out monthly. Luxury items, they might depreciate and cost you money for insurance, upkeep, unnecessary debt, credit card interest, things that drain your cash.
The simplicity there is really striking. It gives you a filter for looking at purchases.
Totally. It's a very straightforward framework for evaluating financial decisions. It forces you to look at your stuff, even your house, and ask, is this putting money in my pocket or taking it out?
And that's the controversial part about the house.
Right.
Usually seen as an asset.
Right. From a traditional view, yes. But in Kiyosaki's cash flow definition, because your primary home typically costs you money, mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance without generating income, he often categorizes it as a liability in this specific context.
Interesting. It's purely about the direction of the cash flow.
Exactly. It simplifies the complex balance sheet world into something actionable for personal wealth building. A true asset for him generates positive cash flow.
Got it. That clarification is key. It really does make you scrutinize spending differently. So, okay, we have these lessons. Don't just work for money. Get financially literate. Shift your mindset. Know assets from liabilities. How does entrepreneurship tie it all together for him?
Well, that leads perfectly into the fifth core lesson, the importance of entrepreneurship. This is where he brings all the threads together into like an actionable strategy.
How so?
He basically reinforces the idea that building your own businesses and making strategic investments,
Yeah.
that's presented as the main path, the most direct route to real wealth and, importantly, financial freedom.
Not just a side hustle, but creating your own thing.
Yeah, creating your own economic engine, taking control, becoming the owner, the investor, not just the employee. It's the ultimate application of everything Rich Dad taught you, move from playing in someone else's system to designing your own.
So entrepreneurship is where you put the financial literacy, the mindset, the asset focus, all into practice.
Exactly. It's the arena where you apply it all, take those calculated risks, and build the things that generate cash flow.
Okay, wow. These are definitely powerful, really thought-provoking ideas. It's easy to see why the book took off, even with people who maybe disagree with parts of it. What are the biggest strengths, based on the review, that make it stick with people?
Well, the review nails a few key strengths. First off, the storytelling. It's just incredibly simple, very easy to get. He uses parables, anecdotes, not dense financial jargon, so anyone can pick it up and understand the core message.
Accessibility is huge.
Huge. And second, maybe even more critical, is the motivational aspect. It doesn't just teach concepts, it genuinely inspires people. It lights a fire under them to think differently about money, to question the path they're on.
Especially for beginners.
Yeah, especially great for beginners in personal finance, people feeling stuck in that work hard, save a bit, retire someday, It really pushes the idea of financial independence and thinking like an entrepreneur in a way that's quite unique. It's like a wake-up call for your finances.
That makes total sense. That motivational spark combined with simplicity is a powerful mix. Okay, but let's be balanced. No book, especially one this popular in self-help, is without its critics. While it's inspiring, we need to understand the limits. What are some common criticisms the review mentions?
Right, and this raises an important point about context. The review does point out some valid weaknesses. One big one is that it lacks practical step-by-step investment strategies.
So it tells you what to think, but not exactly how to execute complex investments.
Pretty much. It's more conceptual, more motivational than a detailed how-to guide for, say, analyzing stocks or structuring a specific real estate deal.
Okay, what else?
Some critics also argue it oversimplifies financial realities. While that simplicity makes it accessible, maybe it doesn't fully capture the nuance of market crashes, economic downturns, or just complex individual situations that need more tailored advice.
Life isn't always as neat as a parable.
Exactly. And it's worth mentioning, the review notes that certain anecdotes have been questioned for authenticity, whether Rich Dad was a real person exactly as described, things like that.
So for you, the listener, hearing these criticisms,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean ignore the book.
Not necessarily. I think it's more about understanding what kind of book it is. It's brilliant as a foundational mindset shift. It's meant to change your perspective, to open your eyes, but it probably shouldn't be your only book on finance or investing.
I feel like it's the spark, but you need other resources for the detailed engine schematics.
That's a great way to put it. It's the starting gun, gets you curious and motivated, but it's not the complete race plan or the specific training manual.
Okay, that feels like a really fair assessment. It sets the right expectations. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener, thinking about your own finances? The review gives it a solid 4 out of 5, calls it an excellent starting point,
Yeah.
especially if you're newer to this or just want that fresh perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It really confirms that core value.
Mm.
This book will likely challenge how you currently see money, wealth, and work. It's very much, like the review says, a mindset book, not a technical guide. Its real power isn't maybe in the step-by-step how-to, but more in the why-to and the what-if, getting you to think about the framework itself, igniting that paradigm shift inside your head.
Exactly. And this raises a really interesting question for you listening right now. If you were to take that distinct Rich Dad lens, that sharp focus just on cash flow, what puts money in your pocket versus what takes money out and look at your own financial life?
Okay.
What things might you suddenly redefine as an asset based on that strict definition? And maybe more importantly, what might you now see as a liability, something draining your cash that you maybe overlooked or thought of differently before?
That's a challenging exercise.
It is. And then the deeper question is, how might that shift in perspective, that reevaluation, actually influence your very next financial